big names back this week, some interesting matchups. So I think we'll jump straight into it with the Roosters versus the Storm. So as for the Roosters, only one change to their squad. Say straight swap around with Verrills into the 9 shirt and Kieran dropping to the bench, and he'll be used as the utility. As for the Storm, they welcome back a whole host of stars. For a start, both of the Bromwich brothers are back. They'll be tearing it up. Jesse in the 8, Kenny in the 12 shirt, Dale Finucane in the 13. There is no Harry Grant this week, so Booth comes into the 14, and then their bench is made up of Kamikamitha, Lewis and Penny, and of course the aforementioned Booth. Christian Welsh in the prop. I mean, how many of these stars are going to be still feeling the effects of Origin 2 is really the big question here, and how do they hold up coming into this game?
I think we both know the answer. All of them at one point or another this week will be feeling a bit under the weather as a result of State of Origin, where it's a Thursday night game. Coaches may not risk them. That's a very strong possibility. It's Thursday night at Newcastle, so they not only have to fly back into Sydney, but they've got the 2-hour drive up. I expect most of them to back up. I do expect most to back up. The one that might be iffy, I would say, is Angus Crichton. But I think for the most part, they all back up. Tedesco will absolutely back up against the Storm side that is looking to put themselves back up to that top spot. Nico Hines has been superb out the back there for the Storm. Jerome Hughes has been brilliant. Brandon Smith is first choice hooker at 14 other clubs at the moment, and will relegate to second choice when Harry Grant is back, but he's doing a superb job. He's a try-scoring machine. Mate, this is going to be a cracking game to start. It's a shame that it's straight after Origin. We might lose a couple of stars, but you know what? We'll take it. Looking at potential matchups here, I think the big one obviously is the battle of the halves. You've got a halves pairing of Lockie Lamb and Sam Walker, who combined, I think, have about 20 NRL games. If that, you compare that to Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes. They are, the Queensland 6 and the New Zealand 7. It's a big test for Lamb and Walker against some definitely more experienced opponents. Tedesco and Hines, you obviously have to point that one out. The forward battle is going to be great. Kafusi has a point to prove. He played like dog crap in Origin. Don't know how he got picked again, but he has a point to prove at club level against Crichton and Tupanua, assuming Crichton plays. The Bromwich boys coming back, that's a big in, especially with Nelson Asofa-Solomona out suspended for the Storm. Jesse slots straight back in. Kamikamitha, as you mentioned. Matt, back to the bench. Tough game. Real tough game to pick first up. You can absolutely make a case for either side. You can flick a coin. I'm going to flip the coin and say Storm 1-12. The Storm are the favourites and stark favourites if you look at the odds on Sportsbet, about 9 o'clock here in Sydney at the moment. But it's definitely going to be tighter than I think what the line is at the moment. Line's currently at 10.5. I do think the Storm win. But if you go Storm 1-12 with a Roosters on the line, currently at 10.5, I think that's pretty much where I'm at. I don't know. Go potentially for an anytime try scorer. The obvious one for me would be in a losing side, and that would be Daniel Tupou going up against George Jennings, who is not the greatest of leapers. Tupou currently paying $1.91, so not a whole bunch of value. But if you throw those three together, Storm 1-12, Roosters to cover the line at 10.5, and Daniel Tupou to score $6.50. If you look for a Storm try scorer, I mean, he's on a hot streak. Brandon Smith is at $2.50. He's looking superb. If you want to throw that in at $17.25, you can. But Melbourne 1-12 and Tupou anytime, I think, is where I'm leaning at here.
Okay. I agree with you on Storm, but I'm going to go Storm 13+. I'm going to say Roosters under 16.5 team points. And I'm going to say back the under for this game. I mean, going back to the last two, 24 points in the last one, 30 points in the previous. So, the Storm winning the last two, 20 points to 4, and then 24 points to 6. It's just the Storm are very sound defensively. They don't tend to leak points. The Roosters, as you mentioned, the inexperience in the halves, they're coming up against players that have got a bit of a point to prove. Nico Hines is desperately trying to fend off Ryan Pappenhausen, who's, granted still having concussion issues. Brandon Smith got a point to prove, trying to keep Harry Grant out of the squad. Munster got a point to prove after disappointing at Origin level, and after talking such a big game about how he was going to keep the Penrith boys quiet for the entire game, and how Tom Trbojevic was a marked man, just wrote a check with his mouth that his ass couldn't cash, and unfortunately now he's got a little bit of a toning to do at club level. So I think that they'll have a big game. So yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to back the Storm 13 plus for this one. I think it's going to be a decent margin, but I can't see there being a lot of points in this one. So Storm 13 plus, Roosters under 16.5 team points, and then back the under on that as well for the match total.
$4.60 if you throw just the Storm 13 plus and the under 46.5. It is already down from 48.5. If you add the Roosters under 16.5, it adds nothing to it. So if you want to throw that in as a single, currently paying $2.07 on Sportsbet, by all means, but don't throw it in the multi unless you're trying to get money back.
Okay.